I will sell this house today.
Beware of those pushy real estate agents. Realtors get a bad rap a lot. And in this video, I want to share with you some red flags that you need to look out for when you're working with a real estate agent if you're buying a home. Now, as of August 17th, the new rules went into effect with the National Association of Realtors, where home buyers are now required to have a signed agreement with a buyer agent. So I wanted to make this video to share with you some tactics you need to be aware of to look out for to protect yourself and to make sure that you are going to be working with an agent that's going to advocate for you and not just sell you a house. So let's get started. Okay, like I said, realtors are viewed as useless, greedy, sleazy, and some other choice words. And quite frankly, a lot of viewers have commented on my channel reminding me every day, or just, like how bad realtors are. Look, we're not all that bad. There are some that have just made this industry like look really bad. Like we're ranked along there with used car salesmen. But there are those of us, I'm sorry, like myself, we are true advocates for our clients. We're in this business to help people. But here are some tactics I wanted to share with you that some agents engaged in, and I don't agree with it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of crap about this from real estate agents about what I'm saying. I'm not saying you all do this. There are some that do. And, look, I'm sorry. Somebody's got to call them out on it. All right. The first tactic you want to be aware of is if the real estate agent is showing you a house that obviously needs a lot of work or it's not in the best location, but they're trying to sell you that house and tell you that this is the best thing. The house has a ton of potential and, you just need to buy this house because you want to start building equity. Like I've seen this. I've seen real estate agents do this and oh my God, it drives me crazy. Don't do that. Realtors don't do that because if that person doesn't have the money to put into the renovations or say the value isn't really going to be there because the location is not in the best area, don't be pushing that house on them. And I've seen this. And I'm sorry, this is where realtors take that sales associate title like really to heart. Like they're selling the house. Look, I understand, yeah, this is our job. This is how we make money. But if it's not a good house, don't push that on people. Don't. If somebody's willing to buy a fixer upper and there's great potential and it can increase the value and they can make a lot of money down the road, yeah, I totally get that. But for a lot of first time buyers, they don't have the money to shell out to put in major renovations, or they don't really know, like that location of the house may not be the best and it's going to hurt them in the long run when they go to sell the house. And yet realtors will still push to say, no, I would jump on this. This is going to be a great investment. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. If they're not listening to your concerns and they're going to try and convince you should buy this house anyway, no, run away. Nope, wouldn't do it. Don't work with them. Another tactic is when an agent is sending you listings of homes that are way above your price point. Back in the day, pre-pandemic, like this was something we did because if a house was sitting on the market for a while and it was slightly above what your client was looking to spend, we would send that listing thinking like, okay, maybe on this house, we could negotiate that price down because it's been sitting on the market for a while. Because what's the number one reason why a home is sitting on the market? It's overpriced. So we used to do that pre-pandemic. Nowadays, if somebody is sending you listings that's way above what you're willing to spend, or they know how much you're pre-approved for, because let's face it, your pre-approvals are going to usually be more than what you're willing to spend. That's a problem because to me, that agent is only about themselves. It's about their commission. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about you, the consumer, that you can't really afford that or you're not willing to spend that, even though you may be pre-approved for say $800,000, but you don't want to spend more than $600,000. They're not listening to you. So if you go back and tell them like, hey, I can't, like, you're sending me homes in this price point and I can't afford that, and that's not the price point I want, and yet they keep sending you that, that's a problem. They're all about themselves. Sorry, this is the truth. They're all about themselves. They're looking to make more money. I would not be working with them. Now, here's another thing. This is a term that has been thrown around the last, I would say, almost 2 years. Marry the house and date the rate. Okay. Now, when this first came out, came out because the end of 2022, when interest rates started increasing, and people were in a panic mode, like, oh my God, rates are over 6%. They're hitting 7%. They're at one point, they were almost at 8%. And I'm sorry, I feel like real estate agents were using that term a lot to persuade people to buy the house, saying it's okay. You're going to marry the house, right? For hopefully a lifetime. And you're going to date the rate, meaning that when the rates come back down, you can refinance and lower your monthly payment. Now, that is true. Yes, that can happen. You can do that. But I think that term's been thrown around a lot to persuade people to convince them to say, you know what, you can do that. You just refinance in a few years and it'd be no problem. But here's the problem with this. And this term has caused a lot of controversy. There's no guarantee that interest rate is going to drop and drop to a point where it's going to be worth it for a person to refinance. Because I will tell you, if you're going to refinance your loan, it's going to cost you several $1,000s. There's going to be fees and closing costs. You're going to be paying closing costs all over again. What? When an agent is telling you, you know what, you could just refinance it, it's fine, get in now. Okay, that's great. But here's the thing, realtors, my fellow realtors, that's not our wheelhouse. If a buyer is thinking along those lines, like, you know what, maybe we can do that, I can refinance. Defer them to the lender and have them run the numbers to see what realistically that is going to cost them and if it would be worth, how much should that rate decrease in order for it to be worth it for that person to refinance that loan. The one thing I will say to all my realtor friends, stay in your lane when it comes to the mortgage stuff. That's not our wheelhouse. If your buyer is considering that, okay, I could refinance later, defer them to the lender. Have them talk to the lender to figure out what that is going to look like. But do not be using that line. I would just marry the house and date the rate. You can, I would buy the house. I would buy the house. No, do not be using that tactic. Do not be using that line to pressure someone to buy a home. And if you're in that situation, you feel that's happening, I would be thinking twice about that realtor representing you.
Nailed it.
Another tactic, it's really the listing agent, not so much the buyer's agent. When you see a house that's been on the market for a couple of months or longer, and all of a sudden the listing agent is saying, oh, we have multiple offers. Oh my God. Yeah. No, come on. I'm not saying that could never happen. It can happen. But in my experience, that usually happens in the case where if a house has been sitting on the market for a while and there was a price reduction and it generated enough excitement and, activity where buyers are like, oh, you know what? It's a lower price. We're going to buy it. In that case, you may see multiple offers. But if a house has been sitting on the market and the price has not been reduced and now the listing agent saying, oh, we got multiple offers all of a sudden. Yeah. Okay. Here's an example. This happened with one of my buyers early in my career. I think I was an agent, maybe two to 3 years at this point. I was in the business. We went to see a house. It was on the market, say like 60 days, 60 plus days, let's say 67 days. Okay. The price was not reduced. But we went to look at it anyway, just to see what was up, and they liked it and it needed some work, but they're like, you know what? Maybe we'll consider an offer. So I called the listing agent and I said to them, like, I think they might make an offer. I just had some questions. She said, oh, you're putting an offer in? Oh, well, I'm expecting a couple of offers. Really? It's been on the market over 2 months. Oh, really? She goes, yeah. So I would get that offer in right away. So I'm not dumb. Okay. I may have been born at night, but I wasn't born last night. I saw right through that. So I went back and I told my clients, this is what the agent's saying, that she's expecting a couple of offers. We should get her offer in right away. And they were a little suspect too. I'm like, they were on the same page with me. We're like, yeah, let's sit on this for a while. So they were going to mull it over for a couple of days. And I kid you not, that agent texted me or called me every day. Are they putting an offer in? Because I'm expecting other offers. I would get that in now. So after a few days, my clients are like, yeah, you know what? No. Even if it wasn't true that there were other offers coming in, I highly doubted that. I knew there was no other offers coming in. They felt like they were being taken advantage of by this listing agent, by them pushing them, encouraging them, get an offer in. I'm getting other offers in. Yeah, no. Be careful of that tactic. Your realtor who you're working with should be able to see through that tactic very clearly. But anyway, bottom line, my client ended up not putting an offer in. A few weeks later, I went back into the multiple listing service to see if that house is still on the market, and yeah, it was. Yeah, never had an accepted offer, nothing. So that agent was using that tactic to try to create some urgency to get my buyer to submit an offer. So yeah, realtors, stop doing that. Let's not do that.
Amen.
Another red flag is when your agent is telling you how much you should offer on a house without even looking at the comps. That's a problem. You should ask your agent to see the comps of what has sold. Now, in the past few years in this pandemic market, that has been a challenge to find comps because the inventory was so low. It was hard to find sometimes at least one home that had sold, right? To find out what the market was doing in that particular area. Because let's face it, it was low inventory. People were throwing any amount of money at a house. So it was very challenging to come up with how much you should offer on a home. Now, when I'm working with my clients, I tell them, I can't tell you what to offer on a house. I will not do it. I will present a range. I will look at what's going on in that market. And if homes have sold way above asking price, I give them that information and say, this is what this home sold for. Do what you will with that information. It's up to them to make that decision of how much they want to offer the house. If an agent is telling you this house is going to sell fast, you have to let go 25, 50,000, 100,000 over asking. If they're adamant about what you should offer, no. They should not be telling you that. And if they are, I would take a step back. Ask to see comps. You want to look at exactly what's going on in the market. Now that the market is shifting, right? We're getting away from this pandemic market now. So we're going to be going back to the old days. Pre-pandemic, you'll be able to look at comps. So hopefully as we get more inventory and more homes are selling, you can get a better idea of what homes are selling for. So bottom line, if that agent is pressuring you to go in way over asking price, take a step back. Take a step back, and you don't have to listen to them. You go in and you offer what you want. Don't feel the pressure of making an offer based on what they're telling you. Now, here are some tips I want to share with you when it comes to choosing a real estate agent. First and foremost, you want to interview at least 3 real estate agents. Yes, 3. And how are we going to find these agents? Well, the best place I feel is getting personal referrals from, say, friends, coworkers, family members. Ask those people who they work with and ask them the questions like, how did you feel about working with them? Were they professional? Did you feel they did right by you? They advocated for you. And then at that point, you can go and interview these real estate agents. And these are the things I would be asking them. Treat this as a job interview because they're working for you. So you're going to be hiring them to work for you. So I would be asking them questions like, ask them about the number of sales that they've done. Do they have experience working with first-time home buyers? There are some real estate agents, they don't want to work with first-time home buyers. They don't. And it's sad to say, but it's true. Me personally, I love my first-time home buyers. The other question I would be asking them, again, this is a job interview. I would ask them, what was your most challenging transaction? Seriously, ask that question because I guarantee you they've had a challenging transaction or 2 or 3. Ask them, how did they get through that? What did they do to be able to come to an agreement with the other side? Say if there was issues in the negotiations, what did they do to make that all better and to get everybody to the closing table and everybody was happy at the end? Ask that question because I guarantee you they're going to have a few stories to share with you. Another question you want to ask as far as their communication. How are they with communicating and what is their preferred method of communicating? Is it text? Is it phone calls? Is it emails? Now, when I'm working with my clients, before we even get started, that's what I ask them. What's the best way to communicate? Do we want a group text? I'll text the couple, with the 3 of us around a group chain. Do you want phone calls? Do you want an email? Let's be on the same page as far as the level of communication. Now, another thing I would do is that just like would you do in a job interview, you can ask for references. Ask to speak with their past clients. Seriously. And I would talk to somebody who had their home sold, listed with this agent, and a buyer too. You want to get a feel for what this agent is all about. So you can definitely ask for references and speak with their past clients and to hear their past clients' experiences. Highly recommend that you do that. Let's talk about that buyer agency agreement that you're going to be signing. When it comes to discussing the fee, you're going to have a couple of choices. You could either pay a percentage of the sale to your buyer agent, or you can pay a flat fee. I have seen in some cases where there could be an hourly rate. I don't know so much about paying an hourly rate. I think that's a little excessive. So if this agent's talking about either a flat fee or percentage of the sale, what you want to understand is what level of service are you getting? If they're only charging a flat fee, like what level of service are they offering? Are they only going to be writing the contract, or are they going to be just showing you houses? Are they going to do any negotiating on your behalf when it comes to the inspections and things like that? If they're charging a percentage of the sale, I mean, I would assume that they are going to be a full service agent from the time you sign a contract to when you get to the closing table. They're going to be handling everything. So you want to understand exactly what type of service you are getting with that fee. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from some agents for what I'm pointing out here, but come on, you all know this stuff goes on, and I got to call it out. We got to do a really good job with educating home buyers, especially now that they're going to be signing these buyer agency agreements. So I hope you found this information helpful. And if you want to understand exactly what's going on with this whole NAR settlement and all the changes that came about, you want to watch this video right here. It's got a lot of good information in there, and I think it'll help you a lot. Thank you so much for watching me today to get your dose of real estate reality. My name is Jackie Baker, and I will see you next time.